All right, well, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And we want to try to be as, brief as possible, but give you as much information as you need. And my name is Sue Earle, and I'm the program supervisor for athletics, aquatics, and fitness here for the Village of Villa Park. And my daughter, Corey, is videotaping. She's about to have my grandson in like 8 days. She's due. Thanks for coming, Corey. All right, so before I introduce Nate, who is going to be running the league, I just want to tell you very quick, and you might know this, but some of the kids might not know this. Basketball started in 1891 in Springfield, Massachusetts. And it started with players playing 9-on-9 instead of 5-on-5. So there was a lot of people out there on the court. The Army and the YMCA really spread it into schools and internationally, and then, it ended up with a few different leagues along the way until the NBA was founded. Basketball pretty much in Villa Park has been the same for like 50 years. In 2020, when you saw the Olympics, that was the first time I saw 3-on-3 basketball, and I was so surprised. Like, I knew I had seen, kids playing in the park and whatnot, 3-on-3 basketball, but I knew there was a Gus Macker league that had started in the 80s, but I never actually saw a game until I saw the Olympics, which was really cool, It got me thinking. And then I ran into these guys. John at Summerfest was talking to me for a long time about how Oak Brook has been doing this 3-on-3 league and that we should change. And Nate came to me and said, hey, I really want to run a new basketball league. We want to do a 3-on-3. So the two of those guys schemed together to really make this big change. And I think it's a really good change. So I'm going to let Nate take over. John Navarro, thanks for coming. Thanks for the idea. Nate, here's the microphone. And Nate is going to talk to you about the league.
So I'm just going to go a little bit over about myself real quick, and then we're going to talk about what 3-on-3 and how this kind of came to develop, and some of the perks of doing this and kind of switching up the idea behind all that. Then we're going to go to what parents and volunteers and coaches and what we're looking for, what you can kind of expect from me, and then the 5-year kind of plan to go for Villa Park basketball. So I grew up in Geneva. I played a lot of basketball, moved to Lombard probably 15 years ago, and then I have a freshman in high school. So I went through Lombard basketball and coached for 11 years over in Lombard. I did summer, spring, fall, winter ball, so we didn't stop. I played ball basically year-round, coached, learned that I fell in love with coaching again. So I played through high school, and then having my son kind of reinvigorated that passion to coach kids. So I moved, I have a second grader now. So my wife and I had a discussion with him of whether I live in Villa Park, whether we come back to Lombard basketball with my second grader, or if we try to fix basketball in Villa Park and kind of make an initiative to build up the program. As far as I had heard from other people, I've only been here 5 years, basketball was falling behind what football and baseball and some of the other sports were doing in the area. And I was super passionate. So I decided, hey, let's help Villa Park basketball instead. So during this process, I coached Willowbrook Junior Warriors travel basketball for 5 years. We didn't have the COVID year. In that process, I met John Navarro, I met Mike Rodriguez, Marvin Boyd, Eric Yapchak, and we decided this year, 4 months ago, to take over Willowbrook Junior Warriors basketball. So we created a board. We have a new program. Last year there was 70 kids try out. This year we had over 130, I believe. So in 5 months we doubled our tryout numbers. With that comes cuts, which we were not as accustomed to. That's kind of the dark side of travel basketball. But our goal was, when we cut those kids, is let's keep them somewhere where we can teach them the same dynamics of what we're working on as a travel program, and keep them in our program so that we can kind of feed back in and teach the same kids the same process. So growing up, my fondest memories from grade school basketball up to middle school basketball, I have different high school, was always playing 3-on-3 basketball in the front yards of your neighbor's house, right? We never had 5-on-5 full things. We never had referees. We never did that. We learned how to play the game by making mistakes in the driveways. And then I also was fortunate enough to go to Gus Macker in Ludington, Michigan for about 10 years in a row. To me, that's my fondest memory. So my fondest memories of the grade school is playing 3-on-3 basketball. So we're going to go through some of the ideas behind this change. I do have people coming in. It's okay. So the basic idea behind the 3-on-3 change to 5-on-5 for youth basketball is more spacing, more touches, more opportunities for all the kids. We've coached 5-on-5 for a lot of years, especially at the younger levels. Kids get lost. There's a lot of commotion going on. All of a sudden we get in this big gym and their first one, and it's kind of just overwhelming to a lot of kids. 3-on-3 is a little more structured, where we have more space, so there's more opportunities to touch the basketball. We learn how to play man-to-man defense. You're going to be able to get up more shots. You're going to be able to make mistakes and then quickly learn from those mistakes because there's nowhere else to go, right? We have to go from offense to defense to offense. One of the things that I brought up was when these third graders make a mistake in a 5-on-5 game in a big gym, right? There's at least 20 kids 10 on a team. You've got coaches, you've got people sitting at a desk, you've got 30 fans. So that kid makes a mistake, and all of a sudden he makes a mistake in front of 60 people. And then he has to go back down the court, and the coach is saying, hey, this 3-on-3, you make a mistake, there's maybe 12 people here. You're right back on defense, we got to go. So there's a quicker opportunity for you to do that. One of the things we're going to do with this program is there's still going to be 1 hour of practice a week. We're going to shift that mentality to do a skills training during the week. So I'll touch base on that a little later as we go. And then communication is another key one that coaches, especially at our travel level, we've talked to our grade school coaches as well. Mr. Keeper, I know, is the Jefferson 6th grade coach. Greg Huckstead is the AD. These guys are all super on board with this vision. So John Cooper, wish he would be here today. He's got the Northern Illinois homecoming game today, so he's like, it was close for him. It wasn't really close. He went to the Northern Illinois game. So communication on 3-on-3 forces kids to communicate with each other. We're going to learn how to talk, how to set screens, how to get open. So for coaches, communication is a thing we love to see. And in 5-on-5, you lose a lot of that. Maybe one kid on your team is a good communicator, and the rest of the kids just kind of listen. So we talked about, Sue mentioned the Olympics. This is becoming a really, really popular thing. Oak Brook, 3 years ago, signed up with Breakaway Basketball. If you're not familiar with Breakaway Basketball, they're kind of the big basketball training people out here. They're based in Oak Brook. They train over 10,000 athletes a year. They have great AAU teams. They do basketball year-round. They run camps year-round. They run different kind of camps year-round. Both of our kids have been to their camps. They do a great job. From that process, we've taken some of what Breakaway does and said, well, we can do this. As passionate coaches that can do our research, this is something we can instill. So they took over Oak Brook's program. Their winter program no longer does 5-on-5. So for the last 3 years, they've done 3-on-3 winter basketball to phenomenal success. They have 600 kids signed up already for their program in winter. So that's how good. Their difference is Breakaway Basketball is kind of their promotional wagon. So they can get that out there to a lot more people, and a lot more people are going to play ball over there. Their coaches have all agreed, their feeder programs have all agreed that from a developmental standpoint, their kids are getting better at basketball coming from that style program as they get older, coming in more fundamentally sound. So the win at all cost mentality from a house league program is something that I want to get away from. Too much in Lombard, when I would coach through those programs, 3rd and 4th grade I would run into coaches that would be, since they were on the other side of the court, would be my opposition. Instead of us looking at it like, well, we're coaching Lombard's house league program. We really shouldn't be oppositions. We should be here together teaching these kids how to play basketball the right way. So what I would notice is certain guys would get caught up in the moment, and I was guilty of it on many occasions, right? Where I would get caught up, and then I would be like, oh my gosh, this is a close game. Let's just give our best player the ball for the next 3 minutes. In the process of that, 5 other kids aren't learning anything, right? So they come away from the game and say, hey, what'd you learn today? I learned that Jimmy's really good at basketball, right? And that I got to stand there and watch him play. So our new goal is that in 3-on-3, it's going to force that where everyone's going to get that opportunity. So instead of, I only have 2 people that are playing with me. I can only pass to you, or I can only pass to you. The other thing we're looking for is plays. So I was guilty of this as well in Lombard. I used to sit and I would have practice on Tuesday, 1 hour. We'd play a game on Saturday. Monday night, I would be on my computer and I would be like, I have the greatest play ever. We're going to score so many baskets. And then I would teach my kids that play for 35 minutes at practice on Tuesday. We would get to the game on Saturday, and I would call the play, and 4 of my 5 kids would look at me like I'm crazy. I don't remember the play. What did we do? So then I would say, well, I can't call that play again. So then as a coach, I would reassess what I did at practice and say, for 35 minutes, I just taught all these kids a play. I taught you to be here, you stand here, you stand here. Instead of doing that, I could have taught skills. We could have learned how to dribble better. We could have learned how to shoot better. We could have learned how to pass better. And that would have benefited my kids more during game day than me just coming up with plays for them to learn. So that's something that we're really looking to get away from a skills standpoint. So, and then the other awesome thing about 3-on-3 that I noticed from my Lombard experience was these teams start to build friend requests, and coaches start to build up these great teams as the process goes through Park District. So sometimes by 5th or 6th grade, you have teams that are clearly really, really good, and you have teams that are clearly not good. So we played last year. I had an 8th grade. You have something? You're good. 8th grade team, one of the 8th grade teams beat everyone in the entire house league by 20 points and won the championship. And as a coach, when you assess and you say, those kids didn't really learn a lot. They just steamrolled everybody. How they would have learned better is their practices were probably great because those kids played against each other. So the 3-on-3 environment will bring more competition to play with your friends and against your friends. When we played in the front yard, I was never teammates with my best friends. We were opposite each other all the time. So that learning is competitive and fun. It's fun to play against your friends and to do one-on-one things with your friends, and then also be able to play with your friends. So some of that will rotate in a 3-on-3 environment where you'll play different kids every week, and it's a little more concise. And then the other thing is that on game days, which we'll get into a little bit of this as well, we really want to bring it back to the sandlot style of basketball. So it's a little more relaxed, and it's not as uniform, and it's not as controlled with referees and coaches doing things. The best teacher for basketball is the game of basketball when it really comes down to it. You learn by playing the game. So we don't learn by coaches over-coaching and overdoing things on game day. It's learned by you playing the game. So we're hoping to get back to that mentality of play the game, make mistakes, learn from your mistakes. So let's go into parents and volunteer coaches. So this whole process, just like any other process, does not work without volunteer coaches. So the biggest detriment that I have learned from a lot of coaches is that there's a lot of parents that want to be super involved in their kids' coaching, but don't necessarily feel comfortable being a basketball coach or coaching baseball, but want to be around. So this year, there is a system set in place where we're here to support, or I'm here to support, but we do have more people, support the coaching process. So we've come up with a drive that will be shared with all volunteer coaches. There's 37 drills in there currently that the Junior Warriors have kind of come up with that we look to how is going to be best for us to develop basketball players in this town. So that will be shared with all the coaches. We will have, and it's not to say that you have to follow these rules. We're looking for coaches and volunteer coaches that are super passionate, that want to get involved. I'm always learning new stuff about how people coach, so I would love to see what other people do as well, but this is kind of a tool where you don't have to spend 5 hours on the internet looking at different sites and saying like, okay, is this going to be a good drill? Is this going to be a good drill? This is a drill set that we've kind of taken and said like, all these 37 drills are going to be really beneficial. These are great drills that we like to teach our kids. Skills training for an hour a week, so that will happen during the week. I will be available 3 nights a week. So we plan on right now Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practices. I'm going to bounce around every 1 night a week for 1 hour. I would come to your practice. So I would say, hey, John, you practice on Tuesday night. I'll be there this Tuesday, okay? And my goal is to A, learn from you as a coach, B, if you have any questions about how things are run, and then C, if you say, hey Nate, I would love for you to run my whole hour of practice, I am fine to do that, right? And we can learn together and develop coaches in the area to feel more confident to continue to coach. I know that my wife taught soccer one year, and she did it for 1 year when they were 3, and then she was like, I don't know anything, I came up with my own drills, I don't think I'm really helping these kids. So she never coached again. I think she probably would have been a good coach if somebody would have said, hey, we're here to support you. Here's what we can do for you. Here's some drills. Here, watch me coach a practice, right? And then you can kind of learn some stuff. On game day, all our games will be at the field house. We do have a 4-hour block. So the games are going to break down half-court style. So the field house goes this way. So there are 6 baskets on each side. So the court will be cut in half. We're going to start with volunteer coaches or game day managers. You would be, as a coach, just in charge of your court. So it becomes super simple. So you would have teams are going to be divided based on our numbers. 5 kids will be on each team. As a coach who does practice, you would have 10 kids under you. So there would be 2 teams of 5 kind of under your control. So you still have 10 kids on your practice thing. And then for game days, they would be split up. So one of your teams may play here, your teams may play each other one week, your team may be here, but it's the community idea of coaching happens on game day, where we talked about in Lombard where I was against the other coach. This is more of, this is your court. I'm asking you to volunteer on this court. You're in charge of those 10 kids that are on that court that day. So we're going to help coach. Obviously the younger levels like 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th are going to need more assistance, just like they do in any other league. Our 6th, 7th, 8th graders, being a volunteer on that is, right, just kind of controlling the game. You don't really have to do anything. Make sure the kids are not following each other all the time. So that kind of thing.
So to clarify.
Go ahead, yep.
On game day, are you going to have the same kids in your practice that you have on your court, or it could all be mixed up?
Yeah, so you would ultimately have at least 5 of your kids for the most part, but I do want to get away from the this is my team mentality, right? I want to get it more of a this is a Villa Park mentality. This is how we want to do, and this is house league basketball. So what we're training is house league basketball. So we're going to shotgun start at all 3 games or all 3 courts at the same time. So we're all starting together. We're all going to sub together. We're all going to have a halftime together. We're all going to play our second half together. And then at the end of that, we're probably going to have 5 minutes left. We're going to bring everybody together on the middle court. Thanks for coming out. Awesome game day, right? Villa Park on 3. Boom, everyone goes home. So to me, it becomes more of a community style of how we want to look at basketball. So from a game day standpoint, we did get asked questions, or I've been asked questions, on 3-on-3 in general. It's played kind of in 2 ways. There's a way to play it where we play on 1 basket, and we play in a half-court set where we learn how to take the ball back every time, and we kind of reset. There's also an opportunity at the field house that has hoops where you can play a full court, but it's called full court, short court. So it's a smaller version of the full court game. So the idea is that we're going to have 2 20-minute games on Saturday. The first 20-minute block will be against the same team that you're playing. Both blocks, will be against the same team. The first block is going to be this half-court style where we play at 1 basket. So it'll be a little more slow pace. The kids are going to learn a little more. Then collectively, we're going to have a halftime. And then that second game, we're going to play the full court, or the short court, 3-on-3, where kids are going to learn transition basketball. We're going to learn to pick up the speed a little bit. So to me, both ways to play 3-on-3 are super beneficial to kids. So there's no reason that we can't do both styles. So there'll be 2 20-minute games. So the first 20-minute game, half court, where we have 1 basket. We'll take a halftime as a group, we'll regroup, and then you're playing the same team again, and then we're going to go the short court. So it'll be kind of 2 different games of 3-on-3, which to me is super exciting. I will be at the field house every single Saturday for the start of the games and the end of all the games. Every Saturday for 12 weeks, I'll be there. I know we have a couple people, right, Sue, coming in to help out, to kind of learn. So we'll have 1 clock. Score-wise, from the win at all costs mentality, we're going to get rid of the score. Our older kids are going to keep score. Great. That's awesome, right? If they want to play to 21, they learn to play to 21. Didn't have a scoreboard in my front yard. We didn't keep score like that. Our younger kids don't need to keep score. We just want to develop in the play. If your kid wants to keep score, they can keep score in their head, right? It's okay. We're not keeping official scores at any point. So to me, that's a great kind of benefit. So the season begins November 5th. We're going to start off at the field house with more of an open gym because we don't practice before that, so there'll be no practice. So that first one will be an open gym session where you'll be able to come in, meet your teammates, meet your coaches, and again, get that camaraderie of this is Villa Park basketball. So we're all here together. You'll be able to shoot, you'll be able to hang out with your friends, welcome to the thing, and then practices will start that following week. We already talked about that. And then there will be, this is new, right? So I had come to Sue with this. This basically all started with me being in May. My daughter had a dance class right outside this building. So I sat for dance, and I sat in the hallway, and I kept looking at this gym right here, and there was nobody in this gym. And I had my second grade son with me, and I said, who do I talk to about getting in this gym? So I reached out to Sue and said, I'd love to just hang out with my second grader in this gym. And Sue, to her great defense, says, I don't really know who you are. You can't just come in the gym and do whatever you want. So I said, oh, that's great. So I came back to Sue a week later and said, how about I put on a camp for first and second grade kids at the same time my daughter has dance. I'll run the camp as a volunteer. Let's see how many kids we can get in this gym. In 3 weeks, we had 15 kids sign up for this class. I think it was like $30. It was like an 8-week program. It was crazy because Sue didn't know. She was like, whatever. It was awesome. So because of that, I've now run 3 more camps for Sue. We just finished one up. I had one this morning from 9 to 10. We had a great turnout. So to me, it's just a passion of basketball. So when I came to Sue with this idea to kind of switch the 3-on-3, and I talked with Willowbrook Junior Warriors on how we really wanted to develop basketball and change the way basketball is done in Villa Park, this came. So I do think there's going to be bumps in the process of how this works out. When Oakbrook switched to theirs 3 years ago, they did not get 600 kids to sign up their first year. What they did was build a great program, and word of mouth said, this is the way to train kids or teach kids how to play basketball. It's such a better idea. It's more concise and clear, and all these kids are now learning the game of basketball and being able to apply that on Saturdays or on Sundays. So the last thing is we want to talk about, now that there'll be bumps in the road, is kind of the 5-year, 10-year plan. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. We do have a facility, we'll call it similar to what the Lombard has with the MAC, that's being built over in Lions Field. That is 2 years away, so currently 2024. It's going to be an awesome gym space. So in that process, we're trying to figure out best ways for us to utilize that gym, and it's going to be able to get more kids to play basketball. Currently, I believe this is the gym, correct, for Villa Park basketball as of right now, right? We do have access to Jefferson and Jackson middle schools for our practices during the week, but when it comes to even lowering hoops down to 8.5 feet, these are the only 2 courts that do that, and then one of the field house courts for game day will be able to do that for. But not all the things move down. So the space is limited now. The space will not be limited in 2 years. So the goal is to really boost basketball. We have not had fall basketball, spring basketball, summer basketball. Those haven't really been around Villa Park. I would love to bring those back. And then I'm also not saying that we're going to get rid of 5-on-5. Like 5-on-5 basketball doesn't exist in this town. Our travel programs, it exists. Our middle schools, it exists. Our high schools, it exists. But what we're going to do from 3-on-3 is teach the kids the fundamentals and the skills to be able to then carry those over to a 5-on-5 platform. And I promise you that all the coaches that we've talked to and the ADs, I met with Brandon Murphy, who's the District 88 AD, and Ed Sullivan, which is the assistant AD. These guys are all on board with this idea and this thought of this is the best way to teach kids basketball. And I think that the kids in general will fall in love with the game more because you don't have to get lost, and there's less confusion and less loss. So I don't know that I have anything else. Is there anything else you'd like to add? And then we can open it up.
Yeah, no, I would just say like the main thing is like a new approach to kind of bring everyone together. The key for me when I've had my kids in Oakbrook, the way they've done it, is the skills development. So you're going away from the individual coaches, teaching plays, teaching specific things to win a game, and really focusing on developing skills for all the kids. And then game day, it's even amount of playing. There's 3 kids out there, everyone touches the ball. So I think it's a huge opportunity for development. for the entire town and kids that are interested in playing basketball. And then I think we can pull from other towns too, you know, not just here, but like I think you can see the development. I've seen it in Oak Brook, and they're pulling from all kinds of places. So I think we can do that here as well.
So I won't share too many details, but I can say that a former person that was pretty prominent in Lombard Park District's basketball program for a lot of years had reached out to me and said he's been trying to do this in Lombard for the last 10 years. He no longer works there, just so and he could never kind of get it to pull. He had some space issues and everything, but he was like, this is a phenomenal idea. So there are other towns that want to switch to this program, especially for the younger kids. So there is big opportunities for us to eventually partner up with, say, Addison or Glen Ellen and be able to build this program out even bigger to make 3-on-3 basketball. And remember, for the house league, right? This is a house league program where we're just trying to get as many kids involved in basketball as possible and teach them basketball. So, you good?
Yep.
Sue, anything else you'd like to add?
Does anybody have any questions? If you have a question, you want to come up to the microphone.
There we go.
Is it 10-foot hoops then, since they don't move, and not 8-6?
Great question. So for first and second graders, we will be 8.5-foot hoops because the field house court 1 does move, right? So all our first and second graders are going to be there. At this point, our third grade and fourth grade will be at a 10-foot hoop. That is becoming kind of the new norm of our travel basketball team does play at 10 foot. Our first and second graders have the smallest ball still. Ball size is a vital component to coaching basketball. It's overlooked by a lot of things, but there's no reason that a first grader should be using an NBA regulation ball, right? They can manipulate a ball better, and we teach that when we teach our skills training. Our third and fourth, and then fifth and sixth, we'll use the middle size ball, and then the older kids will go up to the regulation ball. So 10 foot, but small kids. And then our younger kids, our first and second graders, will only practice here right now because these are the hoops that come. But we do have this facility 3 nights a week as well. And then the other nights will be at Jackson. We have Jackson, Jefferson, we have the main gym and the Aux gym at both of those schools.
First and second, are the games still going to be at the field house, just in
Correct.
gym 1? Okay.
Just on that court 1, yeah, that first court. But all 6 of those hoops move, so it's right. So we'll do the same idea, right? 3-on-3 this way and then 3-on-3 this way. Anybody else have any questions, comments, concerns? Overall, just sheer enjoyment of like, this is amazing. No, I'm kidding.
I don't need the mic. Can you review the practice nights and the game day Saturday afternoon and the practice nights?
Sure. So currently we have Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursdays available. If you're a volunteer coach, you'll be able to pick your night of the week that you want to practice. So how those days will be divvied up, we do have access to, like I said, currently we have 5 gyms on all 3 nights of those weeks. So however we use those gyms is going to be based on how many ultimately numbers we have to sign up, how many coaches we have. The goal is that one head coach would still take 10 kids, and then those kids are divided up into 2 game day teams. And you would know those as a coach. And then on game day, your team, that's what I said, may play each other, which is okay. And then your team may be here and there. And as a dad, obviously, as the coach of your team, you could be able to stay with your team that your kid is playing on if you choose. And there's also ways where we walk into the gym on Saturdays and people will be like, hey, I'd love to volunteer to be a court supervisor, right? And that's all it is a court supervisor. And you're in charge of that court, and just kind of keeping the flow, keeping the pace, all that. So there are not going to be any referees this year. So we discussed it and thought about it. And it definitely, for the younger kids, there's not a need. So the first and second grade, but like it is now, is really coach-driven, parent-driven, us teaching the game. So for the game days, there will not be any refs. And then our older kids should learn how to kind of pace their own games. And that's that Sandlot style of, I didn't have referees in my front yard when I played basketball. You learn to kind of call your own fouls and do that sense. So, but the court supervisor who's on the court can also pace that, right, and help out and interject and be like, hey, that's a really big foul or whatnot. So.
All right, by what date will we know the schedules for our kids, like the days of practice, times, and where they're being held?
So we'll know at the end of October. So everyone will kind of have an idea here. So, yeah, sorry, that was when are kids going to be, when is parents going to be notified about game schedules and court schedules? So you're still, season doesn't go off till November 5th, so it will be before that. So I don't know if there's a...
Send emails out.
Yeah, there'll be emails out. I don't know if there's a registration deadline.
Yes. There is a registration deadline. It just says registration.
Yeah, we can add November 5th. So probably that last week of October, that first week of November, you would get it, just like, most other sports. So, anyone else? Yep.
I guess it depends on age level. How closely, if you're a court supervisor, are we monitoring things like traveling, double, you know what I mean? Like kids,
Sure, so
I know they're going to learn all that, but like, are we just going to let them kind of do whatever, or?
So yeah, for the younger, that's a great question. So the older kids, sorry. Sure, so third grade, sure. So we asked about how do court supervisors monitor whether kids are traveling or double dribbling and whatnot. So yes, I think that you can, but I also think it becomes that. So I would say the younger kids are first, second, third, and fourth. That would kind of be my breakdown of our younger kids that need more development. So yes, as a court supervisor, I think that's things. And again, we're not keeping score, and there's no referees, so there's no like turnovers necessarily for double dribbling or things. But as a court supervisor and as a coach, just like anything else, you should help the kids out, right? And say, hey, this is what we're working for. And like you said, you're not having whistle, so it's not like whistle, stop. It's developing with that kid. And then when that kid subs out, you're the court supervisor, so there's one bench. There's not like two benches, so there'll be like 4 seats next to you, right? And then you'll be able to talk to the kid and say, hey, here's what we're going to try to work on next time you go out on the court. So it becomes, again, that community. Every kid on your court is your kid, right? And I want you to learn how to coach that kid and everyone to be able to do that. So I would say there's no rules behind that. So it would be up to the coach to hopefully get involved and help the kids in that process. So, but that's go ahead.
I think we can make a suggestion maybe at like, I think fourth grade is different than first grade. You know, like traveling, double dribbling, first grade is fine. Fourth grade,
correct.
Probably not as much. So like, you know, maybe within the coaches, like sharing some information about, hey, these are like expected. This is what's kind of expected at this level, right? And sharing that with the coaches ahead of time, saying, hey, maybe give one warning if one kid does it, and then after that, hey, it's going to be a turnover. You know, something like that, depending on the age. But yeah, we'll try to come up with something and support you guys when you're out there, so it's relatively consistent.
So yes,
across ages.
And I will say this meeting is just to kind of introduce the program. Once all the volunteer coaches are involved, I'm going to set up probably a Zoom meeting with all our coaches, and we will go over more of the coaching philosophy and ideas, because this isn't I created this curriculum and you have to coach this. This is not what this is about. This is, I want as much information from other people, and I still want to empower all our coaches to do what they've done before. We have great volunteer coaches around a lot of sports. Okay, my goal is to just support as much as I can. I have a backing of support from Willowbrook Junior Warriors basketball. I've got 12 years now of experience coaching a lot of basketball. So my goal is just to support you in any way possible with anything I can help with. So those are great discussions to have, and I think John's right, that something will be in place a little more black and white to share with coaches. So, yep.
And just a suggestion, like I coach the soccer, first, second grade soccer, and practice one at the beginning of the year and the last practice at the end of the year, like traveling and double dribbling.
Yep.
Just even like throw-ins for soccer. Kids don't know it day one. The last game of the year, they know it. So I mean, like traveling and stuff, that's stuff you can work on through the year, and then towards the end of the year, it probably shouldn't be traveling or double dribbling. So probably go easy, I would say, in the first couple
in the
weeks,
beginning. Mm-hmm.
and then a little bit harder.
And I agree. And even when we start to do our games in basketball, like the first week, these first and second graders play 3-on-3 basketball. I promise you, it's going to be kind of crazy. And some people will be like, "What are we doing?" Right? But it's 11 weeks or 12 weeks, right? So by week 3, all of a sudden you're going to get, they figured it out, right? So to me, this is a whole big process in general. Of the shift and how we're looking at basketball in this area. So,
and I think the good thing about saying, hey, everyone on the court, we come together in the beginning, we come together in the end, it's like, okay, hey guys, it's week 3, right? We talked about traveling, we talked about this. Next week we're going to try to do this, right? And that's why we can, connect with everyone at the same time. I think that's a good opportunity.
I do as well. Anyone else?
I have some registration forms that I'll put on the table up there. Also, I have coach applications if you're interested in volunteer coach, one of the benefits is you can choose the night of practice, your night of practice each week. And also at the end of the season, you'll get a coach credit for $92 that you can use to register the next night or for another program.
What?
Okay.
It's amazing. I did have a couple more questions. Yeah, I'll go here first. Yeah. Register right now. No kidding. Tony, yes.
Time slot for the practices, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, between 5 and...
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you. We're still negotiating and working some of that out. But yes, there'll be times. Yeah, I'll have those sooner than later for everybody.
You guys are going to hang around. Of course, I got a more private question I need to ask in front of everybody.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. So I do have a basketball game at 1, but I'm good. No, we'll hang out. Yeah. So, yep. Anyone else? So, yep.
I know you were talking about like super teams, but
Yeah.
like, our kids are just starting. They want to play with their friends. Is that an option to be on the same team as our friend?
Sure. So as of right now, depending on the registration, we don't have a friend request on here. So to me, we're going to stay away from that this year. But because there's 3-on-3 and there's 5 kids playing together and 5 kids playing together, there's a good chance you'll play with your friends. There's also a great chance that you're going to play against your friends. And there's also a great chance that everyone's going to be there at the same time together. So this year we're not doing friend requests per se, but maybe. What do you think? We haven't fully discussed all of that yet.
Yeah, if you have to, have practice on a certain day of the week, you can for sure mark that down that you're only available on Wednesdays to practice, or you'll have more chance of.
But that also comes down to registration numbers too, right? If we have.
It totally does. It depends on how many people are registered. So.
Right.
How about maybe I could phrase what you guys are talking about differently? Is it going to be somewhat dynamic? Like you said, a coach is going to have a group of 10.
Yeah.
Might the squad be 5-5 1 week, and then you're going to find out things about those players, and then you're going to change that 5-5.
No. So it'll be just a random.
It's going to be the same 5.
Yeah. For right now.
It'll be the same 10.
Correct. Same 10, but then.
10, but those 5 could be different within that
But
10.
you know how you split up that 5-5 might be different.
Exactly.
Week in and week out.
Well, that's a great
I think.
concept. So that's something that as a coaches meeting, maybe we can discuss, like as a volunteer coaches, when all the coaches get together. I think that's a great discussion point. Yeah.
Assistant coaches allowed? Is there...
Yeah. So we would love to have everybody, have an assistant coach to an extent. And if it's something you would be, right, then we would kind of pair you up with another coach to do that. So the ideal would be 2 coaches per 10 kids if we can get that. I know there's a lot of coaches that can run a 10 thing. It's always great to have more hands on deck to help out. And then the assistant coaches, too, help out on game days as a volunteer, right, as a coach, so you can kind of just cruise around. So, yep. Anybody else? So I think we're good. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. Really appreciate it. We're
This
gonna
is
keep
great.
it up a little bit. If you have any questions that you want to ask us, just come up.
Yeah.
Like I said, registration over there. The registration desk is open till 1 o'clock. You can register. The volunteer coach application is open.
Awesome. Thank you so much.